What's the gesture protein? This one. So, while you are heating, like this, inside. Potassium, not chloride, the white crystals, isn't it? And what did you do with your potassium chloride? You heat it. So while you are heating, you have to thrust a lighted splinter. Do not place the lighted splinter inside the test tube, just at the mouth. So this is a decomposition reaction. This will produce, so the one that is liberating here is your oxygen gas. And what will you observe about the flame? The lighted splinter keeps on glowing, isn't it? So that means oxygen supports combustion. But if you place it, insert it inside the test tube, your flame will die. Okay, so this is what do you call this one? Decomposition reaction. So that will be the reaction involved because of oxygen. Sige, continue.
Hey guys,
that in local what did you combine? Hydrochloric acid and calcium carbonate. So what did you observe? What do you call that one? Take note that hydrochloric acid will dissolve calcium carbonate. But what did you not observe? It becomes milky, right? Milky solution. And afterwards, another test tube, 10 grams of sodium hydroxide and 10 grams of cocaine sulfate. So they are both solution, right? So what happened? Was there coagulation? Was there formation of solid? Yes. Components? Yes. What do you call the solid? Here you have to dispose the solution with the same injection of water. So open the fountain.
Rust. Produces rust. Ayan po. Sorry. Position.
having ito? Do you bond with your family? How often? Oh, every Saturday and Sunday. You do that weekly? Your family is in-laws, right? You're living here. Do you have a girlfriend, right? Do you bond with your girlfriend? Why? Yeah, why do you bond with your family? Why do you bond with your friends? Why do you bond with your girlfriend? Why do we bond with our loved ones? What do you want to establish?
Stronger relationship.
Anyone? Parents.
Stronger relationship.
To establish a stronger relationship. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Yes. To establish a stronger relationship. Just like atoms or elements, they do chemical bonding. They do chemical bonding in order to establish stable configuration. Okay. When you say stable configuration, they must follow the octet rule. Okay. And take note, valence electrons. So what are valence electrons, Malihan? Will you please read?
Are the outer shell electrons that the valence electrons are the electrons that participate in chemical.
Okay, so they are the electrons that participate in chemical bonding. And where can we find these electrons? These are the electrons found in the outermost energy level. And we call them as valence electrons. That's why in your periodic table, you see the group 1A. So it is expected that the valence electron is 1, meaning the electrons found in the outermost is only 1 for group 1A. So for group 2A, how many electrons? 2. So therefore, that's the valence electron. For group 3A, 3, that's the valence electron. Group 4A, 4, that's the valence electron. So meaning, whatever is the group number of the elements in the periodic table, that corresponds to their valence electrons. Okay, and take note that the valence electrons are the ones involved in chemical bonding. Okay, just like group 1A. So we have 1 valence electron for elements belonging to group 1A. Group 2A, 2. Group 3A, we have 3. 4A, 5A, 6A, 7A. Okay, so we did not consider 8A, the group 8A. Okay, why? Because according to the octet rule, group 8A already follow the octet rule. And what is octet rule? That is the rule of 8 electrons in the outermost shell, except what? Hydrogen. For hydrogen, at least 2 electrons to have what? To have a stable configuration. Stable configuration. Okay? So the group 8A already follow the octet rule. They have 8 electrons except helium. Helium, like hydrogen, needs 2 to become stable. But the rest, they have 8 electrons in their outermost. Okay. So that's why for group 1A up to 7A, they are incomplete. Okay? So they don't follow the octet rule in terms of electronic configuration. Now, look at the Lewis dot symbols for the representative elements. So for group 1A, the single dot here represents what? The electron, the valence electron. For group 2A, you have 2 dots, and the 2 dots are the valence electrons for this element. So group 3A, group 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8A. So the maximum would be 8A. 8 electrons according to octet rule. Okay, so what is this symbol plus 1 dot for hydrogen? That is the Lewis dot symbol. The symbol may represent the nucleus, and the dot will represent the valence electron. So if I will ask you, what is the Lewis dot for strontium? You have SR then 2 dots. Do not forget this one. Okay, you will need this in chemical bonding. Okay, we have actually different types of chemical bonding. The first one is ionic bond. Ionic bond, or this is also known as what? Electrovalent bonding or ionic bonding. So what is ionic bond or electrovalent bond? Miss Masangkay.
It's the electrostatic force that holds atoms together with an ion.
So there is what we call electrostatic force that holds ions together in an ionic compound. What may produce electrostatic force? Electrostatic force may be formed if there are positive and negative charges in chemical bonding. Just like lithium plus chlorine. Okay. So therefore, ionic bond or electrovalent bond may be formed when there is what? The key word here is transfer of electrons from one atom to another atom. Okay. So take note, transfer of electrons from one atom to another atom. If an atom has 1 to 3 electrons in the outermost, take note, 1 to 3 electrons in the outermost, what will they do? They will give electrons. When they give electrons, they are classified as metals and they become positively charged. And these are your cations. If you have 5 to 7 electrons in its outermost, they will be the one to accept or receive electrons. So if they will accept or receive electrons, they are non-metals. And what they will become? They will become negatively charged. And they are anions. Okay? So we have an example there, lithium plus chlorine. Okay? If you have 4, so I did not include 4 electrons here. The tendency for those who have 4 electrons, they may give or they may accept. They may give or they may accept. They may give if they are chemically bonded with a metal. They will accept if they, for those who have 4 electrons, if they are bonded with a metal, they will accept. If they are bonded with a non-metal, they will not give, but they will share. Okay, take note of that. How? That would be the second type, sharing. I'll show you later. Okay, let's have an example here of ionic bonding. So between sodium and chlorine. So sodium plus chlorine. So you know that sodium plus chlorine you will delete that anyway. Sodium plus chlorine will produce what? So the first step in ionic bonding is you have to draw the Lewis structure. So for sodium, what is the Lewis structure? 1 cut. Okay. For chlorine, you have 7. Okay. So sodium has 1 its outermost, chlorine has 7. So what will sodium do? So this 1 electron, sodium will give. So sodium will give, and it so happens that chlorine needs 1. So there will be transfer of electron. So after the transfer, what will become of sodium? sodium will become positive 1. While chlorine will become, so there will be 8 electrons for chlorine. Okay. Then, chlorine will become negative 1. If you will combine these two, sodium positive 1, chloride negative 1, they will form sodium chloride. Okay. So take note here, after the transfer, sodium becomes positive 1, chlorine after the transfer. So since chlorine accepted 1 electron, it will become negative 1. When you combine them, algebraic sum, positive 1, negative 1, it will become 0. Sodium chloride. Okay. Let's go back to this. If they follow the rule.
So that is the element that will be is large enough.
You mean in case this atom will give 2 or 3, and that atom will only get 1, needs only 1? Okay, later we will have an example for that. Okay, so after the transfer, what will happen to sodium? Take note that sodium is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. While chlorine is what? 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p5. Isn't it? So, half shell method for sodium, you have 2, 8, 1. For chlorine, you have 2, 8, and 7. So what happens to sodium? Sodium, if it's 1 electron, so this one, isn't it? Went to chlorine. Chlorine accepted 1 electron. So when sodium donated its 1 electron, how many electrons are already in its outermost? 8. Because the last shell will be removed, isn't it? Because there will be no more electrons. So you have now 8. While chlorine, after receiving 1 electron, it becomes 7 plus 1. 8. So do they have 8?
Yes.
After the transfer? Yes. And do they follow octet rule?
Yes.
Yes. So that's sodium chloride. And they live happily ever after. Okay, so your question, Mr. Acosta. Another one you have, potassium, 1939 plus sulfur, we have 1632. Okay, look here. What's the Lewis dot for potassium? K1. Isn't it?
Yes.
For sulfur, you have 6. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So how many electrons will sulfur need? 2 to follow octet rule. But potassium is only willing to give 1. But still, sulfur is lacking. And sulfur still needs 1 electron. So what will happen here? Kubera? Velasco.
I think if there will be 2 potassium.
So there will be another potassium atom that is willing to give another electron. And that electron shall be donated to sulfur. So after the transfer, you have 2 atoms of potassium, but each atom is only positive 1. Don't combine the total charges and don't make it positive 2. It's understood that you have 2 atoms of potassium, but each atom is positive 1. And sulfur, after the transfer, there's only 1 atom of sulfur, but sulfur becomes negative 2 after receiving 2 electrons. So what will be the formula? K2S, potassium sulfide. You get that? Huh?
Yes.
Okay. So did I answer Mr. Acosta? So if you adjust, okay, as long as both of the atoms will follow. Okay. Now, so look here. How about aluminum trioxide? Yes, Chua. What if the electrons to be given is more than the required electrons to be accepted by a certain atom? Well, let's see this one. Show the Lewis dot symbols for the compound aluminum oxide. So Al2O3. So if we're going to trace that one, Al, this is 1327 plus oxygen A16. Aluminum, what's the valence electron? 5 or 3? 3 for aluminum. Oxygen, you have 6 for oxygen. Okay? So you look here. Aluminum is willing to give 3 electrons. The condition in the transfer of electrons, if you have 1, if you have 2, you have 3, you have to give all. Nothing should remain to you in your outermost energy level. However, oxygen is only 1. How many? 2. But aluminum is willing to give 3. So what will happen? So this will be transferred here, this will be transferred here. So what will happen to this one? Yes.
We will be needing another oxygen.
So there must be another oxygen. And that oxygen has 6 electrons in its outermost. But oxygen, this second oxygen will still need 2 electrons. However, the first aluminum is only willing to give 1. So the second oxygen still needs 1 more. So what will happen? Ano ba?
There will be another aluminum.
So there will be another aluminum willing to give 3 electrons, but for second oxygen only needs 1. So where will these 2 electrons for the second aluminum go? Augustan.
There will be another oxygen.
So another oxygen will come, and that oxygen is needing 2 more electrons, and that 2 more electrons will come from the second aluminum. That's why in your formula, Al2O3. Isn't it? So after the transfer, the 2 aluminum is positive 1. Positive 1, positive 2, or positive 3? The 2 aluminum is positive 3, and the 3 oxygen, and the 3 oxygen is negative 6 or negative 2? Negative 2. Why 6? We don't get the total charge, but we have to consider the individual charge. Because you already have here 3 atoms of oxygen, so negative 2. So what will be the formula? Al2O3. So that's ionic bonding, the first time. You follow? Any question? Yes?
Paano pag yung...
What if?
What if the AL is... basta mas mataas yung paglasan?
What if aluminum is...
Madaming lahat.
The electrons for aluminum is what?
Hindi, kunwari. Magkabaliktad ko.
So meaning to say, so you have to make adjustments. So, in this case, if for example, the one that is willing to give, by the way, class, take note that when an atom gives, it's either 1 2 or 3, right? If you have 5, 6, 7, you will not give, but you will accept. That cannot happen. If you have 1, 2, 3, you are willing to give. If you have 5, 6, 7, you are willing to receive. You cannot have the reverse. Take note of that. Yes, parents.
So, pwede ba yung is it possible that two elements from with appearance selector
2 elements.
with appearance selector of 5 or more to have two finals?
If, what do you mean, 2 electrons or 2 elements? Both of the 2 elements have 5. For the first element, you have 5 electrons. The second element, another 5 electrons.
So, is this seriously possible?
Is that the same element?
No, sir. Just
Take note that if they have the same number of electrons in its outer loops, it's either these 2 elements are the same or they belong to the same group, right?
Yes, yes.
You cannot have 2 different elements that are not belonging to the same group. And if they belong to the same group, 2 different elements that might not be possible to combine. Okay? There might be any instances that they may do the second type of bonding, the covalent bonding. There will be sharing. But for transfer of electrons, the rule is 1, 2, 3, you give, 5, 6, 7, you accept to follow octet rule. Anyway, you will see the difference when we have the second example, a second time. The second type is, okay, covalent bond. What is covalent bond? Cabrera, what is covalent bond? So there is sharing of 2 or more electrons by 2 atoms. For example, the 4 of you are friends. Are you friends? You are not friends. For example, you are friends. Okay, the 4 of you. You go out, you went outside, your bill is 100 pesos, for example. So who will pay? You decided that you share. If there will be equal sharing, how much of each of you will share? Huh? 25. 25, 35, 25. That's equal sharing, right? Would it be possible that this will share 50 pesos? The second one will share lesser than 50, so there's unequal sharing. Would that be possible to happen? Yes. Yes. And my question, is there bonding in that sense? Yes, there is still bonding. When will be your birthday? When will be your birthday? January, so by next year. Who will have birthday this September? When? When? Show me. Are you going to celebrate? Okay. For example, you will invite all of us to your birthday. Quiet. Are you going to let us share expenses for your birthday? Or you will spend? You will be the one in charge for spending. So definitely, otherwise, if you will invite us to your birthday, then you will let us share. We will not go. Who will go to their house? And then you have to pay whatever you will pay. So definitely no one. So that is unequal sharing, but still there is bonding. Now for the second type, covalent bond, compared to ionic bond there is transfer. Covalent bond, share. Why should 2 atoms share electrons? Why do they share electrons? Huh? When does 2 atoms, when do 2 atoms share electrons? They share when both of the 2 atoms,
They share in both the same number of electrons.
when both of the atoms need electrons, isn't it? When no one is willing to give and no one is willing to accept. So what they will do is, they will just share. Let's see. By the way, covalent or ionic bond, take note, exists between metal plus non-metal. Take note of that. Metals are the one giving electrons. Non-metals are the one accepting electrons. Can you follow? So between metal and non-metal. For covalent bond, so I write it here. Sharing, but this exists between two non-metals. For example, we have hydrogen plus oxygen. So what is the Lewis structure for hydrogen? 1. Okay. Hydrogen you have 1. Oxygen you have 6. Okay. So according to octet rule, will hydrogen gives this one electron? Yes. The rule is 1 to 3 you will give. My question, will hydrogen is willing to give this one electron in its outermost? Yes sir. No, why? No, why? Anyone?
Only metals give electrons.
Only metals give electrons? Yes. What else? Take note that, according to octet rule, for hydrogen, it must have at least how many? 2 electrons in its outermost, right? If hydrogen will still give that 1 electron, what will happen to hydrogen? The more hydrogen will need 2. The more hydrogen will become unstable. In this case, why? Because take note that hydrogen only has 1 electron, right? So although it has 1 electron, still hydrogen will not give that electron. So what will happen is, I can share this 1 electron, while oxygen needs 2, right? Needs 2. But oxygen will not give. But oxygen will share. An electron with hydrogen. However, in the case of oxygen, there's 1 more electron needs to be shared. So what will happen? Another hydrogen willing to give or to share 1 electron to oxygen. So look at the arrow here. It's a 2-head arrow, meaning there is sharing. So oxygen will be at the center. Then you have hydrogen here. So this is the shared electron by hydrogen. Then you have shared electrons by oxygen. Okay. Now, during sharing of electrons class, will hydrogen becomes positive? Will oxygen becomes negative? In covalent bond, will they be positive and negative charges to be produced? None. Okay. Why? Because electrons are not transferred, but electrons are only shared. So therefore, we can rewrite this as this one. So the single dot represents a single bond. And a single bond means 1 electron pair. Let's say 1 pair, that's how many electrons? 2. So 1 pair, another pair. So between hydrogen and oxygen, how many pairs of electrons are being shared? 2. 1 only between hydrogen and oxygen. Okay? So if you are going to count whether they follow the octet rule, oxygen has 8. In this case, hydrogen has 2. In that case, hydrogen has 2. So they follow octet rule. And what is the formula? That's water. Okay? Another one. How about carbon and oxygen? Okay. What's the valence electron for carbon? 4. Whereas, this is your question while ago. How about those who have 4 electrons? Will they share or will they transfer? Oxygen needs 2 because the valence electron is 6. Now, what did I tell you a while ago? Those who have 4 electrons in its outermost, if they are combined with a non-metal, will they give or will they share? With non-metal, they will share. If they are combined with a metal, they will accept. Okay? In this case, between carbon and oxygen, how many atoms can carbon share with oxygen? 2 or 4? Take note, oxygen has 6. If you will share all of the 4 of carbon to oxygen, the total for oxygen will become how many? 10, not 8, right? So therefore, there must be only 2 electrons being shared by carbon and oxygen. However, there are 2 more electrons need to be shared by carbon to follow octet rule. So what will happen here? Another oxygen will come, and that oxygen is willing to share 2 more electrons to carbon. So after the sharing, what will happen? 2 non-metals. It's about time that you must know how to write their formulas and at the same time give the names of these different compounds. So we shall start with writing chemical formulas. So are you familiar with any supplemental medicine that is available in the market? Yes, like what? Our ascorbic acid is a supplemental substance. Let's say supplemental, those that prevent, for example, anti-aging, those that prevent possible occurrence of diseases. So these are supplemental. Okay? So, in short class, when you buy something, do you bother to look at packaging? No. Or you bother to check on the price? If it is cheap and it seems pleasing to your eyes, you buy it. But if it is expensive, you don't bother to look, right? So you are price conscious, not content conscious. However, this is very important that you have to consider all of this. Why? Because the label itself will give you so many information. Just like that this particular supplemental theramine is a medical food. So this is intended for what? For dietary management. Okay? So you have the, although look at the formula. As a layman, as an ordinary people, you don't bother to know what is this, right? Who cares? So what does it benefit you? What are these one? So as a scientist, however, or have a background in the subject chemistry, more or less you are interested to know this one, since you learned this in school. The point here is whether you are given the formula, the structural formula, or you are given the name, at least you have an idea of what it is all about. Okay? So that's why in this topic, the first thing that you must know is how to write the proper chemical formula of different substances. So when we say chemical formula, what are the informations that you must need to know? One, what are the elements that make up that compound? Okay, just like your sugar. What are the elements found in sugar? You have your carbon and your hydrogen. Okay? And how many atoms or the number of atoms of each element that are present in that particular compound? Is it necessary that you must know 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen to make a water molecule? Is it important to know that one? Yes. Isn't it? So it's very necessary. Okay. So in writing the formula, we shall start with ionic compound. Okay, ionic compound. So we have 2 rules to follow here. The first rule is if the valence number are the same, so how will you write the formula? For example, okay. So sodium chloride, potassium bromide, calcium oxide, beryllium sulfide. So you have these examples here. So how will you write the name of this one? Will you please bring out your periodic table? So you know that group 1 elements, their valence number is positive 1. How about group 2? Positive 2, group 3, positive 3. Group 4 may either be positive 4 or negative 4. Group 5, elements negative 3. Group 6, elements negative 2. And group 7 has negative 1. Let's not bother about group 8 anymore. Okay. So you first start with writing the symbol together with its valence number. So sodium is positive 1, Na positive 1. So it ends in IDE. The second element is derived from a non-metal. It's an element. Okay? Because ionic is what? Between what? Metal and non-metal. So chloride is derived from what element? Chlorine. And what is the valence? Negative 1. Do they have the same valence number regardless of the sign? So what will you do? You just simply combine them, starting with positive and negative. We cannot reverse, we cannot have negative then positive. Always, the starting element is a positive element. Okay? Potassium. So what is potassium? K, positive 1. Bromide is Br, negative 1. It's not 7. So what will be the formula? KBr. Next, this calcium, Ca, positive. Step please. Okay. And oxide, O, negative. So what will be the formula? Calcium oxide, CaO. Okay, next. Del Rosario. Beryllium sulfide. Stand please. Are you standing already? Beryllium. Be positive 2. Sulfide. S negative 2. So what will be the formula? BeS. How about this one? Ammonium hydroxide. Yes, ammonium is NH4 positive 1 hydroxide, OH negative 1. So the formula will be NH4OH. So no problem with first rule. When you have two valence number are the same for the positive and negative, we just combine them. Okay? And the second rule is if the valence number are not the same, so are different, what will you do? You apply criss-cross method. Okay? Okay. So we have aluminum sulfide. So aluminum is Al positive 3. Sulfide is what? S negative 2. So, okay, listen everybody. So in this case, we have to apply the criss-cross if the valence number are not the same. This is positive 3, this is negative 2. So I start with the positive element. And the valence number of the negative element becomes the subscript of the positive element. While the valence number of the positive element becomes the subscript of the negative element. That's where your criss-cross method applies. Okay? Can you follow this one? So potassium next. Caspadillo. Potassium is K positive 1. Oxygen is negative 2. So what will be the formula? Complete it. A2O. Okay, next. Kaliwa. Calcium is what? Ca positive 2. Hydroxide. So what is hydroxide? OH negative 1. So what will be the formula? CaOH2. Is this correct? CaOH2. Is this correct? The subscript of the hydroxide is 2. Take note that this is a polyatomic ion and it must be treated as 1. So what is missing here? So the parenthesis. Okay? But let's go back here. Is it necessary to place a parenthesis here? No, it's not. Because that sulfur is only one element here. It's not a polyatomic ion. Okay? So next one. How about iron 2 fluoride? What do you mean by this? Meaning, what does this Roman numeral number indicates? Is it the charge or the valence? The valence of what? Of the iron. Why? Why it is indicated? Why it is written to be like this? Because iron has 2 valence number. Iron can be positive 2 and positive 3. Therefore, in this case, iron is positive 2. Chlorine is negative 1. So what will be the formula? FeF2. If it is like this, iron 3 chloride, then it must be Fe positive 3 for iron, chlorine is Cl negative 1, so the formula is Cl3. Okay, that's how you do it. That is the importance of this Roman numeral here. We only do this if that positive element has 2 valence number. So what are these elements? Iron is 1. Iron may be positive 1 and positive 2. Lead, positive 2 or positive 4. What else? Tin, positive 2, positive 4. Cobalt, manganese, iron, mercury. Mercury may be positive 1 or positive 2. Okay, copper is positive 1 or positive 2. And there are also other, and we call them the transition metals. These transition metals have at least 2 valence number, or elements with 2 valence number. Okay? Okay, the one that I gave you in 1/2 are what we call the polyatomic ions. Okay? So the polyatomic ions together with their valence number. That is very important. Okay? So, look here. HCO3 negative. Hydrogen carbonate. What's the other name of this polyatomic ion? Aside from hydrogen carbonate. It may also be called as bicarbonate. Just like hydrogen, that's not so, this should not be sulfate. Hydrogen, yeah, sulfate. This must be letter S. It can also be called as bisulfate. Okay, take note of that. So this is the first rule. Name of metal plus root word of the non-metal with IDE. So, okay, let's give examples. So for formula writing class, you only need to know these 2 rules here. If the valence number are the same, or if the valence number are not the same, you apply the Criss-Cross method. So what if given the formula, let's do the reverse, this time you give the name. Okay? Can I erase this one now? Yes, sir. So if you are given the formula, you give the name. So still, ionic compounds. I thought I said let's start with ionic compounds. So ionic compounds, you know that it is composed of a metal and a non-metal. Okay, that's ionic compound. So how will you give the name of ionic compound? Always start with the name of what? Of the metal. You get the root word of the non-metal, then you add IDE. Okay, so this one. This is barium chloride. Okay? How about this? Potassium oxide. Okay, that's correct. How about this one? Magnesium hydroxide. And this one? What is NO3? Potassium nitrate. nitrate. Okay, and O2 is potassium nitrite. Okay, please stand. What's the name of this one? Calcium bromide. Again, aluminum sulfate. Okay. So this is what I'm telling you a while ago. For some transition metals like iron, so there are two ways of naming this one. Okay, the English name, you know that iron made use of what? Positive 2. Okay, so what will be the English name? It will be iron 2 chloride. Iron 2 chloride. Okay. But if I will ask you to give the classical name, take note that the lower valence should end in us suffix, while the higher valence should end in ik prefix. But you have to make use of their Latin name. How would you know that the element was derived from its Latin name? Look at the symbol. So take note that iron is Fe, and there's no Fe in the word iron. So obviously, iron was derived from, Fe was derived from its Latin name. And what is the Latin name of iron? Ferrum. So, that is the English name, iron 2 chloride. So what will be the Latin name? Is it ferrous or ferric? Ferrous, because positive 2 was used, lower valence. But if it is FeCl3, it is iron 3 chloride, but the Latin name is ferric chloride. Okay? How about Cr2S3? Cr2S3. What is Cr? Chromium. Is chromium derived from a Latin name or from its English name? So there must be no Latin name. So chromium 3 sulfide. Because chromium may be positive 3 and positive 2. Oh, okay, this one. Letter A. Give or name the following compounds. Miss Gordula. There are two possible ways of naming this one. You can give the English name or the Latin name. Which do you prefer, English or Latin name? You give me the English name. Okay, continue. Complete it. NO3. Iron 2 nitrate. Okay, next. Letter B. Oh, why don't you know? Say it again. Iron 2 nitrate. The next one. Bataan. Sorry, yes. And what is this? Or? Are you not listening a while ago? There's another name for this. Hydrogen phosphate or biphosphate, isn't it? So, what's the name of this? Sodium. Say it again. Sodium
hydrogen phosphate
or
biphosphate.
complete.
Sodium hydrogen biphosphate.
Stand please.
Sodium hydrogen biphosphate.
No. You make mention of hydrogen phosphate or sodium biphosphate.
Okay.
Those are the two possible names. Okay, well, this one, the third one. mess. Tignan mo, because you have been absent, kaya I don't expect me to still remember your name. Oh,
Ammonium.
ammonium.
Oxide.
What is SO3? You have your 1/2 with you. So say it again.
Ammonium sulfide.
Ammonium sulfide. Okay? How about this one? Given the name, you give me the formula. Patricia, mercury 1 nitride. So what will be the formula? HgNO2. Correct. Letter B is cesium sulfide. CS. You give me the formula, the complete formula. Okay, cesium is CS positive 1, isn't it? Sulfur is negative 2. So what will be the formula? CS2S. Okay, the third one. Is the last word. CA3 PO4 look here, calcium is positive 2. Phosphate is negative. What is phosphate? Negative 3. So CA3 PO4 parenthesis 2. Okay? Did you get that? Crisscross. Different valence number. Can you follow? Okay. Okay, so all the things that we name and give the formula are mostly ionic compound. This will be the one to be placed in your Moodle account. Okay? So, yes, this is PowerPoint. Start with page 39. Start with page number 39 PowerPoint slide. Okay, then we have molecular compounds. After ionic compounds, molecular compounds or covalent compounds. And when we say covalent compounds, between two nonmetals or nonmetal and a metalloid. Okay, except for these three, they have a very common name. Water, ammonia, and methane. But the rest will follow a certain rule in naming molecular compounds. So we have to indicate the Greek prefixes, 1 to be mono, 2 di, 3 tri, 4 tetra, 5 penta, 6 hexa, 7 hepta, and so on. Let's go back to water. If we will follow the molecular naming of water, water should not be named as water, but it will be dihydrogen monoxide. Imagine that. But since water is a very common compound substance, so it was named as water. Then of course yung ammonia and methane. But the others, we have to indicate these Greek prefixes here. It's very important. Okay? So like for example this one. Hydrogen iodide. Or it can be hydrogen monoiodide. But take note, this compound, we will go back to this one later because this is classified as acid. And acids do have their own naming. Okay? But for now, we will name it as hydrogen iodide. Okay, this one, kabakungan. Say it again. I don't see 3 in nitrogen. Say it again. Okay, nitrogen trichloride. How about SO2? Mr. Jesus. Stand please. Louder. Sulfur dioxide. Okay. Algene. N2Cl4.
Dinitrogen tetrachloride.
Dinitrogen tetrachloride. Is it correct? Yes. NO2. Do guess. Nitrogen dioxide. N2O. Cassidy. Dinitrogen oxide or dinitrogen monoxide. Okay. For example, this one. Diphosphorus pentaoxide or pentoxide. When two vowels are found in the name, just like this one, you can remove the last letter of the prefix, but do not remove the first letter of the non-metal or the second element. It cannot be pentaxide. It cannot be pentaoxide. It must be pentoxide. Okay, pentoxide. Except for, we cannot, yeah, for this one you have two vowels. But we cannot remove the I in the di to be doxide. We have to emphasize the two atoms, dioxide or bioxide. Okay? Because there are only two letters involved in your di. So this one, Marcaida, what's the name of this? Silicon tetrachloride, Uriarte, P4O10. Tetraphosphorus, tet is deca. C-decoxide, S2. For molecular or covalent compounds, sometimes the formula can be derived from its name actually because of the number of atoms being mentioned in the name. So just like this one, disilicon, so obviously there will be two silicon hexabromide. So how is bromine? So simple as that. Diba? Simple as that. Okay. Hydrogen is the starting element for an acid. Okay, for acids, there are two types of acids, binary and ternary acids. Binary and ternary acids. For binary acids, start with hydrogen plus the non-metal. Okay? Okay. How do you give the name of binary acids? Binary, there are only two metals, or two elements involved. And when you give the name, except this one, start with the prefix hydro, plus you get the root word of the non-metal, plus the suffix "it", then the word acid. I'll start with hydrofluoric acid. Okay, so next one. HCl. Say it again. Hydrochloric acid. Absalon, HBr. Hydrobromic acid, Cassidy, HI. Hydroiodic acid. While ago, we named this as what? Hydrogen iodide. I told you while ago that since we do not know yet the naming of acids, it will be classified as acid and the proper name must be hydroiodic acid. H2S. Hydrosulfuric acid. Exemption to the rule. HCN is classified as binary acid despite that it is 3 elements. As long as there's no oxygen. Okay? As long as the other element is not an oxygen, then it may be classified as binary acid. So what is CN? Cyanide. So what will be the acid of this? HCN. Hydrocyanic acid. I changed it to it. So hydrocyanic acid. Did you get this? Any question? Okay, then we have ternary acids, hydrogen, oxygen, and the non-metal. For oxygen and non-metal, they are actually classified as the oxo anion. Okay? So the rule in naming this one, the root word of the oxo anion, if it ends in A, change it to it, then the word acid. If it ends in I, change it to us, then the word acid. Okay, example, H2SO4 and H2SO3. So what is SO4? Sulfate. So it ends in what? AT. So sulfate, not sulfate, but it will be sulfuric acid. So what is the difference? There's no hydro for ternary. Next one, sulfurous acid. Sulfurous acid. Okay, how about HNO3, HNO2? What is HNO3? Stand please. Nitric acid, and the second one, nitrous acid. How about HClO4? What is ClO4? Will you please check your notes? ClO4 is perchlorate. So what will be the acid name? Perchloric acid. How about HClO3? Huh? ClO3. What is ClO3? Chlorate only, not perchloride. Chlorate only, so achlorate. So what will be the acid? Chloric acid. How about HClO2? This ClO2 is chloride. So I change it to us, it will become chlorous acid. HClO. HClO is hypochlorite. So hypochlorite, change it to hypochlorous acid. Okay? So those those are your acids.